Based on the online discussion, our group came to a line of agreement on how Hong Kong's media system manifests itself as a unique model, with its characteristic ties with both the democratic corporatist model and liberal model, suggesting a fair compromise between the two.
In this video, by constructing a thorough analysis based on the current situation and the development of public sphere in Hong Kong, we will evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of Hong Kong's media system.
In addition, we will also provide realistic solutions to stakeholders, in particular the HKSAR government, journalists, general public, political parties, and businesses, with the purpose to improve the media in Hong Kong to move towards forming a self-government. Hong Kong has a strong media market with a mass circulation of 52 daily newspapers, easily accessible in MTR stations and on the streets. There are actually 25 newspapers in Chinese and 12 in English, allowing a wider spectrum of people in the ethnically diversified Hong Kong to read news. More importantly, news providers aim at providing news for the general public instead of the elites only. This helps news to reach out to the majority of the society. At the same time, the rise of online platforms where news companies set up web page or page on social media to spread news, and the formation of self-media where the public posts videos or pictures of an incident happened also reinforce the strong media market as information flow is fast and broad.
Other than strong media markets, there is also a high level of civic awareness in Hong Kong. For instance, there is a growth of self-media which promotes the rapid spread of information on social platforms, acting as a public sphere for Hong Kong citizens. Secondly, the rising trend of political participation, in particular political demonstrations such as Umbrella Movement in 2014. Thirdly, there's an increasing voting rates of Legislative Council election and Chief Executive election, which has a high turnout of 1.9 million votes as polls close. Fourthly, the rise of forums for discussion of political issues and current affairs, such as the City Forum and Hong Kong Golden. Lastly, the change in education system, especially the rise of liberal studies, promotes high sense of civic awareness among the youth.
In terms of the weakness of the media system in Hong Kong, I think that one of the most significant weakness is that the increasing state censorship in Hong Kong. Since the handover, more and more media companies are owned by the people who are closely related to Beijing, and with the capital behind or even the direct control of the media, the neutrality of the media is weakened and is quite worrying. For example, the Charles Ho from Singtao Daily is the member of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, and while Wen Weibo is even controlled by the liaison office of the central government in Hong Kong, it shows that with different capital or the direct control of the media, and the stance and the news stories they take may be different and based on the political reason.
Another weakness of Hong Kong's media system relates to corporate intervention and censorship. Operating as a commercially oriented mass media system, many media organizations and news agencies rely on the domestic market and advertisement as a source of income for its survival and prosperity. However, the changing media ownership and corporate interests of business associates, private sectors, and tycoons are threatening the level of autonomy, freedom of press, and expression altogether. This affects the journalists' ability to maintain objectivity and neutrality in their reporting and to follow the code of ethics in respect of the truth to serve the public interest. In particular, academics argue that the involvement of red capital will inevitably affect editorial decisions in the media, regardless of whether it contains political intention or not.
So for the third witness, it's about lack of rational discussion. Media in Hong Kong have their own stance on polarized issues. Some of the newspapers are more pro-Beijing, while some of them are more pro-democratic. Different media describe Mongkok incident using different names. Some are more negative, like Mongkok riot. Some are more positive, like Fishball Revolution. So it's hardly to have rational discussion on such media platform. For example, Civil Passions, a pro-democratic news media, will post their own comment on news with irrational wordings like rubbish. It's hardly to have rational discussion on such media platform, as all of the comments are biased to one side. This is the news about a defendant of Mongkok incident flew to Taiwan on Apple Daily. Most of the comments are not destructive, like blaming the government or PRC irrationally and directly without any explanation. Some of them include wordings like rubbish, foul language, and negative wordings. Also, less people discuss on media Moreover, less people discuss on the media with neutral stance. While most of the comments are on one side, on such media platform, people would rather comment on such platform which can gain more support from other viewers.
The following are solutions that can be suggested to the government to improve the media in Hong Kong. First of all, subsidies can be provided to media firms to reduce production cost of news and slow down commercialization. This will help smaller media firms to survive so that the plurality of voices can be preserved and a fuller picture of the news can be reported. Secondly, an independent department for journalists to report unethical issues in the industry should be set up so that journalists will not be irrationally pressurized by those in power and be silent of what is not right. Last but not least, the government may take reference of the successful media-related policies implemented by other countries, but has to be aware of the differences in social-political context before using the same policy in Hong Kong.
On the other hand, journalists must uphold the code of ethics proposed by Hong Kong Journalists Association and provide objective and neutral information along with a diversity of perspectives and political opinions in their reporting. This will retain public support and trust, followed by benefits towards commercialization and circulation of media, as readership directly affects profit. They could also use non-political authorities as commentators of news and implement new media and online citizen journalism in traditional journalism to effectively collaborate with citizens in acquiring and covering important stories. For example, they could use social media as a platform to continuously communicate with citizens. Lastly, they must educate themselves and be fully aware of the ethical and legal rights granted to journalists to ensure they can exercise and perform these rights at all times and defend violation against their own rights.
So, for the solution to general public, it is to be a more engaged citizens. In Hong Kong, it is criticized that middle classes are usually political apathetic. Citizens should read more news, be self-media themselves, like share or discuss or comment on news actively on the forums with friends and family, etc. But the most important point is, they should have rational discussion on news, but no shouting to each other without destructive comments, because irrational discussion will only tear apart the society.
The following solution targets on business sector. Firstly, through enhancing business ethics that does not intend to influence the press and the media to write stories or reports according to the company's preference. Secondly, by fulfilling corporate social responsibility, by donating funds to the media in order to provide financial support for their operation. This act promotes business image and upholds the high level of journalistic professionalism in Hong Kong, in which both the press and corporation can be benefited, and even the entire society can enjoy the high level of press freedom. Thirdly, business owners can operate media company without interfering the editorial autonomy.
For the solutions to the political parties, I think that the political party should not intervene the editorial autonomy of the press and the media, even if the media is controlled by them. For example, the Chinese Communist Party control one-way poll and Daikong poll, but the Communist Party intervene in the editorial autonomy a lot, which could be shown in the democratic movement incident in the 1989, and I think it is not appropriate. Another aspect is that the political parties should not criticize and pressure the media just because the media hold the opposite ideas with them. For example, the pro-establishment camp parties always criticize the Apple Daily because of the pro-democratic stance of the report of the Apple Daily.
We have talked about the strength, weakness, and the solution of today's HK media.
Only by tackling the above weaknesses with the mentioned solutions so that we can live in a more justice and brighter Hong Kong.